This is my pest analysis on Mexico. First of all, the president is Claudia Sheinbaum Pedro, who's their first female Mexican president as of October 1st, 2024. She serves a 6-year term. She also has no vice president, which means if something happens to her, their legislature would have to go through many channels in order to find a new vice president, a new president to serve in her spot. Now here in the United States, obviously we do have a vice president so that they can quickly serve in case the president becomes unavailable. They do have 3 different branches of government, similar to how we do, except how their terms and how they get elected are different than us. The Mexican president does hold a lot of power, although she does have to go through the channels to make certain things happen. A lot of it still rides on their decision. She is part of a new and growing political party called the Moreno Party, or also known as the National Regeneration Party. The 3 top political parties in Mexico are the National Action Party, Institutional Revolutionary Party, and the Party Democratic Revolution. Again, the Moreno Party is a new and growing one, which is gaining a lot of popularity, especially among the younger generation. Mexico is trying to stay away from those older political parties in order to grow, which is also helping their economy as they are moving past some of those older things. Again, the Mexican economy is growing and rapidly expanding. It's one of its biggest partners is the United States because they do share that big border. They are part of NAFTA and they are so closely located to them. Mexico is considered a moderately free country. It's higher than the world average and also higher than some of the local averages that are near it. The Mexican economy is growing slowly, although moderately. It's placed at a 1.8% growth post-pandemic in 2024, which again is a moderate growth for Mexico. The OECD had it listed for the latest 5-year average real growth as 0.4%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for the average, it's not too bad. Again, it is just moderately growing. It's not rapidly expanding as that. The GDP growth trend for 2018 to 2022 was 1.97, negative 0.25, negative 8.62, 5.74, and 3.95. As this shows, the negatives were when the world went into the pandemic and everything shut down and they were unable to trade and really have the tourism that they rely on. As we can see is that post-pandemic, it started to grow again, which is to be expected from all economies, especially one such as Mexico's. Now, as for imports and exports into Mexico, they do share some similarities. Some imports would include electric machinery and equipment, machinery including computers, mineral fuels from vehicles, plastics, iron and steel, optical, technical, and medical apparatuses, organic chemicals, articles of iron and steel, and aluminum. Some of the exports, which again are similar to the imports, include vehicles, medical equipment and machinery, machines including computers, mineral fuels, optical, technical, and medical apparatuses, furniture, bedding, signs, and prefabricated buildings, which are newer to the list, beverages, spirits, vinegar, plastics, and also, again, articles of iron and steel. Some of the top 5 trading partners for Mexico were a little bit harder to find because it depends on who you use for your source. Santander said the USA, Canada, China, Germany, and Brazil. Obviously, the United States and Canada make sense because they're part of NAFTA. China makes sense because who doesn't trade with China? Germany did surprise me, and Brazil was okay because it's one of the largest countries in South America, so it made sense that they would be a major trading partner. Now, if you ask the World Trade Organization, they had it listed as United States, European Union, Canada, China, and Chinese to pay. Some of those do overlap, which makes sense, so there's nothing too out of whack with those. Also, all the ones on the World Trade Organization website are also part of the WTO. Again, as I said before, Mexico is part of NAFTA, which is North American Trade Agreement, which consists of Canada, United States, and Mexico. They were established this so that they could eliminate the tariffs between the three countries so they could freely trade amongst themselves. There were pros and cons to it. One of the pros for Mexico was that it brought a lot of manufacturing jobs to the country, which is great for the Mexican people so they have extra jobs to work. It creates opportunities for them. Another pro for Mexico was that it was a recipient of huge financial investments from foreign governments and foreign automotive manufacturers. This means a lot of the car companies came to Mexico in order to build their cars there. It was a cheaper option, and again, it brings more jobs. Now, one bad thing with eliminating the tariff was that it eliminated tariffs on farm products. So the United States brought down a lot of their stuff to Mexico into that countryside, which then pushed roughly 2 million Mexicans out of the countryside. Now, this does tie into a fact that I will bring up later. And just some general information about Mexico. Their population is between 128.4 to 130.7 million people. Females make up roughly 51%, while males make up roughly 49% of the population. As for the population, 23.3% are between the ages of 0 and 14 years old. 68.6% are between the ages of 15 and 64 years old. And then 8.2% are 65 and higher. So this shows that most of the population is in the working age still, and also still in the reproductive age. The three major languages in Mexico are Spanish, followed by Spanish mixed with indigenous languages, then just indigenous languages. The top three religions in Mexico are Roman Catholic, Protestant, Christian, and unaffiliated. Now, the subject I wanted to bring up that was related to the negative tariff thing was that rural versus urban living is 20 to 80%. Unemployment is 2.81 in Mexico. Freedom rating is 60 in Mexico. Most people have access to cell phones and internet as well as electricity. Now, my company chooses to do business with Mexico as they are prideful people. Their economy shows potential for a lot of growth, and that's something that we really want for our company, is someone with potential to grow. We think they're already a major player in the world, so we think it'd be a great idea just to use them, utilize them, and do our business there. Thank you.